we'll just really give a understandable, integratable package of what we're doing here and how people can get involved and where the level of involvements lie. Who here has practiced permaculture? Yeah. Sweet. I'm just gonna get started a little bit while we get all everything set up because a lot of it's I'm just framing the conversation. You know, why nomadic community starts with permaculture, right? Like that's where my journey started. That's where the question started. It's like I wanted food. I went to business school. I was like, fiat currency is insane. You all are batshit fucking crazy, and I'm gonna grow some food. Like literally, it's just insane. Like it's institutionalized insanity, right? So I was like, oh well, how do I grow food, right? Well, you put it in the ground and it grows like magic, right? No. So we just started looking, and Bill Malson created this study called permaculture, and that was the entrance to community. You know, through the idea of well, how are we gonna actually make the community work? We need to be able to like have food and things like that. Food.
Beloved, we only stayed up really late and had so much fun. Till like 2 o'clock in the morning.
All right, we got the mic. We're testing it. Yes. All right. It was growing and evolving as we created this re-epic, regenerative, experimental, educational, permaculture, intentional community. Over the first bit, a lot of the things were open, so open that allowed us to create experience, to create clarity, to create the system that we're about to explain. And that's also what we encourage people to do as they go out in the world and start their own nomadic communities, is use that open space of experimentation and freedom to formulate effective plans. So jumping back over here, why nomadic community? You're asked like, you know, what is community? Why would I want to be here? What are we doing? And the question really, you know, nomadic community, that all stems back to one of the most fundamental understandings, like what is community? And in order for us to understand that, we started looking into it, and it was like, you know, there are communes, which are different than communities. Communities are actually typically just families that live near each other. Communes are a bunch of people like, hey, we want to do the same thing and like live together. And communes, you know, they can work, definitely. There's not too many super long-standing communes. There are some religions that function like communes, right? You can become a monk and go to certain places and live there your life and continue the same kind of lifestyle in a, you know, a community or a commune of that value. And what we got is, we got here, we were like, permaculture, that's going to give us food. Well, we want to be happy, you know, we need community. We need people around us to like share the food and share the abundance. Community. Unity. Ooh, community unity. Yes. Right? That we weren't going to be able to feel fulfilled in our lives without some bit of unity, without some bit of like having other people involved. You know, because we could be just me and Josh here in the woods. We could live here for 50 years and never see anybody. You know, that could happen. But would that be fun? Would that fulfill our lives? And we're like, no, that doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel right. And as we started to go, we came in and self-growth started to come in. And we're like, whoa, look at all the progress and self-awareness that I'm starting to gain about myself from doing this process, Josh and ourselves involved. And all as that started to come together, what really came together and what's come together now is the realization of what's actually happening here. And in order to have a community, and even unity, it all comes down to these questions. And this is the essence of what we do at the Nomadic Community and why I invite everyone to join and create Nomadic Community for the purpose of regeneration. And that's because if we are to make unity within community, a vital understanding for the foundation of love is a must. Right? Everyone here understands a broken heart. Everybody has that concept in their cultural understanding? Yeah? No? Maybe? If you don't answer, I'm throwing chalk at you?
No.
Oh, you don't? You don't know what a broken heart is? Lucky you, huh? But commonly a broken heart is really well known, right? Everybody knows it actually hurts. It actually can break. It actually involves this pain. And at the same time, there's no logical understanding for how any of those functions. Even though we got spaceships and satellites, teleportation, cloning, right? You got all these things, but you can't figure out what love is, right? And as we got into that, we were like, well, it really feels like this thing, love, is actually a need. And Waffles was born.
Yes.
Well, we'll put the extended Waffles and say we got to start them off slow.
Well, you have to have all of them. You can't have
You can't have a WAFLS Waffles.
the egos here.
There we go. Water, air, food,
Friends.
or family, right? Love, energy, and shelter. Really, you know what that works out to be too, Josh? 5 major tones and 2 sub, which is just like the Fibonacci. Okay, that's perfect. Water, air, food, love, and shelter. That was the only thing that Josh and I could come to agreement about, but had to happen, right? That was fundamental for community. It's like, well, we gotta have water. We can't be here. Kind of gotta breathe or we're gonna die. Be nice to eat before we starve to death. But this love started to come in as maybe that's actually needed, and it's not just a desire, right? And that's what led us to this space. Is we were like, wow, well, if we're gonna make a successful community, we have to figure out what love is, right? Like, at least, so we're telling everybody it's a need, but then we don't know how to fulfill it. We don't know how to fool it. We don't know how to define it. Everybody's drumming.
Well, we needed to come up with a common definition.
Exactly, a common definition and an understanding, right, of how, at least for ourselves, right, because we don't have a unified belief structure. We don't tell people this is what you're going to believe, right, but we invite them to create a belief that they can believe in. And from that, I very much have created a very unified definition that I feel very connected to. Unconditional acceptance. But we'll go into that later because it's not so important, because really the question of why is we want to figure this stuff out. If you want to have a successful life, if you want to have a great marriage or whatever, you want to have a community, you want to have a home, the love is a fundamental part of who we are, and having time and space to figure that out and integrate it is the best thing that you could ever do for yourself, right? Best thing you can do for our world as well, because once your needs are fulfilled, your cups are full, as they say, then you have energy to give back to the world. And that's what we started to find. Going through that question some more, we were like, okay, well, wow, we got this love thing coming through. We got some clarity, some understandings. Well, what does that mean we are, right? Like, what's this body? It's got like this pineal gland. It's got all these different glands. And like take us to these states. Got all these different brain waves. Wow, this is getting like really deep. We like thought we were just this like meat sack that was evolved from nothing out of randomness. And as we went forward, it's like, well, what is life? Like, what is this, looking at the big picture, Nassim Harriman and the Bhagavad Gita and a bunch of books started to come through to our awareness as we open space, through Waffles for ourselves to have space to grow and evolve, right? Personal growth, self-growth. And we were like, wow, there is a gamut of information out there. There is a mountain. And now we have the internet, right? Internet's like, that's what happened. Me and Josh sat here like, oh, do we want to learn? Whatever we wanted, right? And it just kept going like that. And we realized that there was so much out there, so much available, that we just needed a space to integrate, to digest it, to get ready for it. And so for everybody, and I suggest a nomadic community to figure out all those questions that align your ability to have a successful, abundant life, right? To create what you want, to understand who you are and what your purpose is and where you're going and what you want to do. At least give yourself a little time to try to fill into it, right? Because in the system that we come from, what happens back in the old system? You guys know. We don't even talk about that, right? Get a job, go to work, sacrifice your feelings, right? Don't cry, don't bitch about it. Right? That's like the opposite, right? It's like shove all the things inside, and everything will be That's just not working, right? That's why everybody's crazy, right? Insane, right? So insane that you can't even explain to them that there's a banker who creates their money out of nothing on the computer. They're like, no, it could never happen like that. It's happened like that for 100 years. Insanity, pure insanity. So we got all that, and we're like, nomadic community, that's where it's at. Like really, any space that has water, air, food, love, and shelter, some energy, energies in other farms, and family, friends, that container allows for growth. And growth allows for strength of adaptability and responsibility, and that allows us to actually live in this world, right? Not the one that we're coming out of, and the one that has kept us restricted for so long. So what do we do to make this happen? Well, we started with this permaculture aspect, right? Study and observe nature. And that's where Josh and I came in really deep in the first couple of years. We didn't talk very much about what we were going to do. We just looked, right, Josh? We just watched things. We just kept watching. We'd watch the wasps, the winds, the clouds, every detail in this pure state of observation. And what it really got us was like, oh man, how are we going to organize the hierarchy? People got emotions and they get really sensitive when you tell them what to do. It's like, well, nature has a whole ecosystem, right? And in that ecosystem, there's the tree. And we settled on the tree hierarchy, which I can't spell the best, but it's alright, so I'm pretty sure that's it.
Anyone know the definition of hierarchy?
Ooh, you get double, triple bonus points if you get it. Like for real, Josh will be so happy. I know what it is, though.
It's a division of angels. It's like the first of how they define it. The first actual a definition of hierarchy is a division of angels. It's also like how we divide who gets say, and it's just really a way to divide people.
To organize. To
strategize.
Yeah.
I don't think you actually talked about the why of how we came up with it.
You want to jump into it?
Yeah, because I think that's important. Is because literally we started with the permaculture project, had a couple of volunteers come through after and starting to invite people in to take this of just trying to help people with a volunteer program. And one person went to the rainbow gathering across the bay, and literally was like, come to Fincomorpho, it's free, at a rainbow gathering. So we had this really big influx of people that came through, and what we really saw was that
Dreambow.
Can definitely be a dreambow. There was definitely some of those. But what we noticed is that there is still this nomadic people that are really traveling, and there is no set kind of way to communicate within the nomadic community, and that's really why we really came up with this, is to have setting some kind of standard Danny Bell talks about in all of her workshops, so we can all be on the same level field of what these definition and terms are, because when you look up hierarchy and these things in the dictionary, they still have 5 or 6 definitions, and it's what are we as a culture actually agreeing to as these actual definitions that we're using in these things, like the ecosystem and brothers and sisters in this, and siblings isn't actually blood related usually, right, in our culture. So it's getting away and actually all just agreeing on certain terms, and a way to actually get away from the drainbow, because that is a very popular thing of volunteers that come through that do not pay, that they do tax a little bit more on you, but also opening that up, you are allowed to really see what potential is, and by really opening it up to the different things, and then actually from that point is where we got into setting guidelines and everything, is because things happen and things have to be addressed.
Yeah. Rainbows. So we looked at nature, right? And Josh and I were like, man, You know what's really amazing as we observe and interact, which is permaculture principle number 1, by the way, which both applies to our growth and to build the farm, our growth in permaculture, but also our spiritual growth as well. And what we saw first when we observed interact was the ecosystem, and how in nature's design everything has a role. Everything has a purpose and everything has a function to divide the energies in natural orders. So we started looking at the tree and we're like, you know, what's really nice about the tree is some parts of the tree stay for a lot longer. They have more responsibility or weight. They hold up the rest. But it's not any more important than the other pieces, right? All the pieces have significance, the same equal significance, because the tree can't live without the leaves, right? The tree can't live without any of those parts. And it made the best sense because what we were integrating was this rainbow culture of nomads, right? Loving nomads, which is how the love came in, right? Because that's the one thing rainbow holds down real fucking tight, right? Is the love. And that was what made it so key. And so we were like, wow, like in the ecosystem, the tree is perfect for us because right now we're the roots. We're holding the vision down. We're anchoring it from vision world, from the future, from creation into this moment. And that means that, you know, the roots interact with the current reality. They have to pay taxes, deal with legalities, do all kinds of things that are not so fun. And as we went in, we were like, well, you know, there's only a few roots and we want a whole community. And how are we going to do like all of our dreams? Because Josh and I have 527 dreams. For Morpho, that is. And we were like, there's just 2 of us. We need a lot of people in this awesome community of love. So we're like, well, let's open it up. Like, you know, what does a trunk do? You know, a trunk, they support the organization, right? They hold it up big and strong, nice and powerful. And we're like, well, how do we get them there? Like, we don't have too many people that are, we grow them. We grow them from like little tiny sprigs and they come out and we give them waffles. We give them love. And they're like, bloop, 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 bloop. They get stronger so they can like step up to support the tree. And we're like, dude, this makes sense. It not only makes sense, it feels right. And that's when we got really excited. We're like, we have something here. We have something really powerful here. And we just kept, every time we had like inspiration, we just looked how it applied to nature. Even in the conversation we had with Merlin yesterday, Josh was like, okay, I'll know if it works, if it fits into nature's design, because nature's perfect. So if I can see the connection, there it is. So our core program here, sprig, twig, trunk, right? A sprig is a little tiny one. Twigs get a little bit bigger. And you go into a trunk.
So a twig is actually an acronym for trunk, while, and growth that we use. We're still working on this acronym right here. I had it the other day, but it lost my brain. So I can't remember it anymore, but I really had a really good one for the acronym of that one. But like a twig can, like a definition, like, and that's why I'm really going back to definitions. When you look up a twig, it's a branch or something on the ground sometimes, but it can also be a new start of a plant, like a sprig. Yeah. A sprigling and twig is actually interchangeable in most of the conversations with what a tree is.
So as we saw that, we realized, and we saw too, as we brought some people in as little beings and they grew in our container, how they started stepping up and taking responsibility. Like, wow, this works really cool. Like, look at this guy, they're stepping up. This lady, they're holding space. This is phenomenal. And then we were like, well, you know, we have a whole community, and there's a lot of people coming. A lot of people don't want to commit. They're hippies. They like to travel. Blah blah blah. Well, it's like, well, we just keep going down the system and mimic our whole system to how long you're going to stay here and how much work you're going to do. So like right here is the paywall. Everything above here is non-paying, but you're working, right? Your energy exchange is your work. And down here is some energy exchange in the form of finances. And now we were like, oh wow, now we've bridged the system. Now we can bring fiat, that fucking ease of crazy shit, and we can convert it to regeneration, right? We can bring it in here and channel it into trees, channel it into hearts. And like, this works. This is a portal for regeneration. We got super excited, and we realized that this system, this ecosystem, was in harmony. Like, it was what we needed to do. And not only what we needed to do, what we needed to share with everyone, because this is open source. We don't claim any proprietary, like, if you're going to make money off of it, You gotta throw some cash.
No,
But
it's a
open-
share-like agreement.
There we go,
We have
share-like.
a share-like agreement. So if you use any part of this, then you have to, however you want to distribute it. After that, you have to distribute it in the way that you got it. So meaning that it's an open source, infinite loop.
Yeah, you like
Of
leave
share-alike.
the footnotes on the bottom. So it's open source. We're like, we want to give this away. We don't want it just to be for Morpho. We want this to go around the world. We want the ecosystem of regeneration to happen everywhere, right? So we can bring love to all the hearts. And as you go down, a node is like a work trader. If you have a specific skill that we need, you might be able to slide in as a pure work trader.
Who
but-
doesn't know what a node is on the tree?
Yeah, who knows that? Who knows what it is instead of doesn't
A
know?
little knot, like a little knot.
Yeah,
that's
there we
getting
go.
ready to grow a branch or
So, go ahead, go for it, Josh.
So a node is like literally every piece of this is a node of a bamboo. Literally, literally the whole structure has a node here, 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 and so on. Anywhere that it has a new growth part in the
And-
section.
Whenever you pull a branch off, these are nodes that close up to protect the trunk from where the branches fall off. Right? So where branches, they come and go quickly, right? And sometimes they're a lot of energy, right? And sometimes they rip holes in the trunks. And the nodes, they're the middle piece to make sure there's enough energy to close the hole back up. So they do the work so that the core member can go back and process their trauma, which we haven't got into later. And it just was, as everything went forward, we saw every piece had a function to actually serving us, to protect us through this journey, because we jumped in just to do it. Like, we're doing it, Josh? Yeah, we're doing it. Fuck it. We're doing it live, right? And it's been really fun. Is there any questions about this part so far? We're flying around pretty quickly.
so roots, vision, growing it all, growing the tree.
Yep.
Roots is the core shareholding members that started the project.
And Josh has all this. He's sharing the whole document out with you, Merlin. So. Water? Anyone have some water?
And trunk members are shareholding members that commit to holding a core position over 7 years, and then they're participating in the agreements that we have within the core.
So trunk one more time as a shareholder member.
That's a reoccurring community member of the Nomadic community who form a frequent relationship with each other at the land and help create the council while alongside.
So, our trunks, since they came in to support the whole vision, and we were like, wow, how's this nomadic thing gonna work? What's a core commitment? What does it mean to go through this core program? And we looked at it, we were like, well, what did it mean for us? And we're like, well, what it meant was we transitioned our lives away from Babylon. Like, we didn't have to live that old lifestyle anymore. We now live in the jungle, having fun all the time and planting plants and having the most amazing times. And yeah, we're like, well, if we want more people in our community, well, they gotta be able to come, right? And in order to change your whole life, right, and to decondition and to break your addiction from a system so powerful as the current one we have, the capitalistic world, we realized it was a process. As we went through the process, a process in which could be done over years, 5 to 7 years. And so we looked at our core members and we said, hey, where do you want to be in 5 to 7 years? Do you still want to be back in New York or wherever, working your normal job? Is that where you want to be? Is that what you want in your life? If not, what do you want? You want to live in community? Where's your life going, right? Where do you want to make it go? So we have them make a life trajectory plan, a 5 to 7 year plan, right? Where they're at financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and where they want to be in 7 years. And then they look at our programs and they're like, well, I'm going to come 3 months this year in event season and I'm going to work the kitchen. Because in my 7 year plan, I plan to start a professional kitchen, a restaurant at my farm that I'm going to start in this place, whatever it might be, right? So then they know that every one of their service here are A, giving them waffles so that they can organically grow their heart space, their love and their purity, their authenticity, but it's also giving them the practical skills, what they would need to create their future. How to cook, how to communicate, how to deal with difficult people. And at the same time, they're also supported by the other members. So Trunks and Roots are supporting these younger members emotionally, even physically, even like, hey, stop doing that, dude. Like, really just being there for them as people. And this process just really comes in all together in the core program. Where's my notes? Any questions? Yeah.
Can you stay in that frame?
I can, but I have to write on it, and you keep getting shots of it, so it'll be all right.
But I mean, don't go too far.
Oh, don't go. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got you.
And just like the order, roots, vision, core, shareholders. We started a project.
Yep.
And then sprig is the next step. Like if someone says, look, I want to be a part of this nomadic unity. What's my first step? It's a sprig or a twig.
If they want,
Sprig.
if they want to be a core member, which means that they're going to make that commitment to go through the whole process. If they're not sure they actually want to be like, yeah, I actually want to go through this whole nomadic process to transition my life, we tell them, hey, come here as a node or a branch. Because if we commit to you and we give you all this time and you're not 100% heaven's yes, then we feel like it's not enough alignment to offering you our energy in this time.
So if you want to become a core member, the first step is to become a sprig.
Mhm.
Yes.
And that's the first 3-month agreement.
Yep.
Yes.
And then the next step
And
after that is
it also has our fee, our membership fee in that is the sprig as well, which is $900
$900 membership fee.
for that 3 months.
And really that just covers your costs of your first 3 months, because a lot of people, a lot of Drainbows like to say they can do things, and it's just a check and balance to be like, yeah, no, the first time you come, pay for yourself your 3 months, prove yourself, and apply to be a twig, which is why I drew the line right here. That's the paywall. Once you do your sprig, you can apply to become a core member, and once you're a twig, you start to earn fruits. Fruits allow you to have extra time on the farm. You also, once you're a trunk, you start to earn nutrient points, which is energetic return from all the energy generated from the system. And you also access asset sharing, which is using the assets that the community owns in either partnerships or collaborations.
Do a sprig. After that, if you want to become a core member, you apply.
Yep.
Should that be agreed upon,
Yep.
then the next step would be from there, from a sprig would be
A twig.
a twig.
And you stay a twig in 3-month sections until you've learned all the things it means to be a trunk, which is about 12 months of things if you just push through it really hard. So you come back as a twig probably 3 to 4 times, 5 times before you actually graduate to become a trunk. Once you're a trunk, essentially it should indicate that you are thoroughly educated and responsible in the whole model to educate, train, and be in the community. Great questions. Any more? So as we move forward, we're like, okay, well, that's our tree. What happens around the
We
tree?
didn't even go through the whole tree yet.
Oh, did I not? Oh no, yeah. Sorry.
So
Thanks,
we're only
Josh.
at
Thanks.
the branches.
No, I said node, right? And then we're on branch, huh?
Yeah.
So branch, we tried to get in a little further, and we were like, well, some people, they actually don't want to work very much. They don't want to do very much, and we're trying to have this unity of community and get a bunch of people who don't want to be part of the unity. It's kind of ouch. So we started to go for it. Oh, I thought you said something.
No, but we came up with our basic 10-hour commitment that everyone agrees to do while being here on the farm. Which within that 10-hour basic commitment, we are all agreeing to come together on Moop Monday, which is matter out of place. So we're basically resetting the farm back into a very usable standard form. We all agree to do 1 hour of Trash Tuesday. So we're all agreeing to take care of all of our resources that we accumulate and making sure that they go to being useful. We're all agreeing to our community meetings and transparency circle. So once a week we have a transparency circle where we talk about what is in our heart in this week and really diving more vulnerable with who's there and practicing holding that space for one another. as well as the Monday meeting or sync ups that would happen during a container. We're all agreeing to splitting the kitchen shifts. So if we're eating in the kitchen, we're all agreeing that we're all equally taking responsibility for preparing the food. We're all practicing our 8 and 8 and our nonviolent communications. Our 8 and 8 is our 8 respects and 8 responsibilities of our very short and precise form of what we're all agreeing to by cohabiting here on this land.
What are those called? 8 what?
8 respects and 8 responsibilities.
They're on the back of the surf shack. Can't read them too well. They should have got in a better place.
One question about Twig, because you were talking about the 3-month sections to
Yeah.
learn basically community necessities,
Yeah.
All the pillars.
All the pillars. You can do it in a year if you like full on.
Potentially.
Great
But-
question. As we were experimenting the whole time, a lot of things happened experimentally. At this point, and actually when Merlin came, we actually closed the experimental phase, and for the last little bit have putting in the final phase of Morpho into work. That is also going to involve an actual checklist of actual skills that the 12-month program of becoming a trunk is, that then you can now check off either quickly or slowly as you go through the program, but you won't become a trunk until you have all 4 modules of 3 months that each include a list of the village ABCs, nonviolent communication, and each skill that you'll need to know to be a trunk. In the past, it wasn't like that, and it is like that now.
I do have a question as you're talking about the ABCs.
Yeah.
So, like for me, because I am interested in this, but like I don't have 3-month commitment, but I am learning with NVC, and I have done so. Even though I'm like dabbling, and I can pick these things up in other communities,
Yeah.
is there a way to get credit? Receive
The question is,
things like that?
the getting credit is, in order to make this space of waffle work, it takes these core people holding that space. So to be a core member, it's not just you're coming to a community, it's actually that you're willing to hold space for the transformation, that you're holding space for other people to come. And if you're not in alignment to that and you can't commit to the months, which is necessary to hold space for people, it's fine. That's why we have a whole ecosystem of positions, and there's lots of ways for us to be in relationship where it's in the both of us our highest meaning. So the question for me would be, what are you looking to gain out of this relationship? Right? What are you looking to gain by being here or interacting with us? Where is the best thing for you? And then let's see if that's actually already something that already exists. Right? And if not, let's create a new one. Right? And as we go forward, like there's so many ways that this is going to ripple out, because the reason it's open source is because right now it's going to Arkansas and now around the world. And so the system will be universal for people to know how to travel and take their energy that they've collected and distribute it in the network. So one of the ways you can become involved, or like as we finish down, so the branches are like $25 a day for camping and then whatever for the cabin, and you have 10 hours a week. And what that does is that keeps us from having people come to the community where they just party and hang out all the time, and they're not actually part of the community, right? That means they have to come to the meetings, they have to talk about their feelings, they have to you see them in the kitchen, you see them clean up the farm. That keeps everybody on the same energetic level to make sure everybody's okay, we're actually in a community together. A leaf was a potential option to have some...
It's Airbnb guests.
To have Airbnb guests. We have not ever implemented this effectively during a community season. The way that we've been doing it right now is during inactive seasons.
Yeah, so the distinction from twig to branch.
Yeah. From twig to, well, okay, so twig is part of the core program. So you go from sprig to twig to trunk, which is a completely separate program than now a branch, leaf, or bud.
Or node.
Yeah.
So sprig to twig to branch. Inside
Nope.
of a twig, you're a twig until you've completed all the training to become a trunk.
Yeah. And a branch is somebody like, you know, hey, I just heard about your place. I want to come for a week, right? And in that week, they're going to do 10 hours, and really they're just a tourist, right? That's what happens.
A volunteerist.
A volunteerist. And that's why they pay, because they're going to come here and they're going to say, hey, hey, and they're going to ask you questions all day, and then they're going to leave 5 days later, and then that's going to happen again. So if we just gave all of our energy away like that, it wouldn't be catching and storing energy, would it? It'd be like dumping our energy, like, it wouldn't be nice because they go back to the world, but who knows if they're actually going to use it for this mission of regeneration, right? So the bud is the fruit of all of our efforts.
No, our buds are our event and retreat and workshop members.
I call it the fruit because it's like the reward, right?
Well, our fruit is different from the buds.
Thank you for the clarification. So I'll pick a better word.
The bud are flowering, our flowers.
The bud are like is like our offering for that we've all worked so hard for so long, and now these metamorphosis group get to come for a week and receive all the benefits of all of our work in this special package. And that makes them our bud guests. What you got, Marlon?
So just so a quick distinction, okay, now that's the trunk model.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about for people who are coming here to experience what the sprig, twigs, and trunks are offering inside of their training.
Yes.
So they're being trained to hold space for people who come in and travel and have the experience.
Boom, boom, you got it.
So this is the next phase of people coming here and experiencing what the sprig, twigs, and trunks are offering. And the first is a branch, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
The first was the node, which was a work trading position that could be
has a 6-week commitment.
6-week commitment, and they help protect that other 3 group from the other group. They're like the middle group.
So a node supports the trunk model on a shorter time frame on a work trade.
Yep. Yes. Yep. And they also like help to ease the load and to repair it so that the branches and leaves buds don't do too much impact to the core organization. So the branches, leaves, and buds, that's pretty much the outside world, right?
So short-term support on a work trade.
So where this comes next is...
Hang on.
Okay, go ahead.
So inside of completing the trunk model, there's the node, and then there was one other piece that supports inside the trunk model?
No. You got the sprig twig trunk, and there's just the core model, and the node supports it.
Node supports it.
Yeah.
Okay, short-term work trade.
And then you have your branch, leaf, and bud, which
Branch,
is...
leaf, and bud, which is the travelers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the event guests. And yeah, as this came forward, actually this system came from Desiree when we got it like 9-10 years ago, when she created it with Finca Fruition, Jason Bliss, when she was there 20 years ago. They didn't have all of these, but they had 3 of them or something, and we really took that concept and expanded it, realizing that it worked really well. And she was part of one of our mentors as well. So in the ecosystem, there are many other types. This tree hierarchy is great because essentially we open source share it out, and this system goes everywhere, and now we have a forest of organizations. And one of the ways we can support this is the amendment program. So before we get to the amendment program, I do want to go over the core because it's on my notes here. So a core commitment, we talked about the promised outcomes, like what you'll get from being a core member is it's essentially a support network for transformation, a literal transformation of your logistical life, but also your emotions and your spiritual life as well. And coming into it, you'll essentially earn fruits, right? Which we didn't talk about. That's what Josh corrected me. A fruit is
Our own currency.
It's our own currency that is produced by these seasons. And so we mimic nature. What does nature have? It has seasons. Every year our tree goes through the seasons, right? And every season can generate fruit for the core people who participate. And what that fruit does, it lets them come back to the farm or stay extended at this 10-hour minimum. And that lets them earn space in the container to further amplify their transformation, give away to their friends, or even recount some of their finances by selling it to other people. I let you know that the trunks can hold events. They can also create profit share businesses, like products like cacao vinegars and other things where they can be part owners in. You get space and time for transformation, and you have a holistic learning experience where you literally have dozens, if not hundreds of co-mentors that have so many different skills and are able to give you the gamut of permaculture skills, healing skills, freaking 20 different types of massage. There's just so much growth potential available in this container because we have people from all over the world all different languages and all with very unique experiences, but yet still on the same heart vibe. Yeah. In that 7-year plan as well, the core program, the intention is to manifest where you want to go. By utilizing this gift, by you giving to the world, and thus getting yourself the experience that you need to grow, wherever you want to be, you're going to be. Right? So what do you want to do? Right? That's when people come in, they want to be a core member. It's really about activating yourself, like, where do I want my life to go? Like, really. Not like, oh, I kind of want this, and it'd be nice if I went that. Like, no. Like, what do you want to do? You want to, like, take your photography to the next level? Really, how far do you want to go? Right? And then really we get down and we talk about it, and that's where I come in. Josh does a lot of the documentation. He does the Discord management. He does all kinds of things. I'm really been stepping in to facilitate some of this counseling of the trunks, like business plans and their logical things. My background's in business and finance, and coordinating that in their effort here to aligning all of their energies together so that they feel fully centered while they're here. Are there any questions about the core program? Does it sound cool? It's pretty fun, right? Like super fun? No?
Yes.
Super fun, super fun. What's it got?
Is there any project about the fruit to put them into cryptocurrency?
Yes. Great question. Let's save that question for the after meeting. I only have a couple more subjects, and then we're going to go deeper into more of a conversation when I'm done, so get anybody answers that they want. And that's a great question he had about how we're actually going to bring the fruits to your crypto wallet and make them more secure, which we'll totally be talking about. What you got, Merlin? The leaf, like I was saying, Freedom, we've never used it here yet, and because we weren't ready for it. And the only one we're using it right now is in the inactive season. I'm not sure if we'll ever make it active here, but in some models, people will be able to accommodate for people like that. Just depends on your infrastructure, where you're at, and how many people you have active in your core group. That's also very important as well.
Because that's what happened somewhere with a couple which
You got it.
and
Freedom knows.
that was nice.
And when you don't know what to do, Freedom? Go with the flow! Just make it happen. Don't make a big deal about it, right? Every day's a new day, as long as, and this is something that me and Josh really came to, right, Josh? Like, as long as we didn't stop growing, we would succeed, right? If you don't give up, you always succeed. And so we realized that, like, oh yeah, like, if we get tired, we get stressed out, we'll say, fuck it, for today, try again tomorrow. Even we'll say, fuck it for the rest of the year, and then try again next year. As long as we don't let that spark be extinguished and just let it drop, then it will be successful. And it is successful. We're feeling it right now. It's growing really well. So that's the core program.
Can I have one more question?
Yeah.
About the trunk, because you were talking about a 90-day trunk training, right? The 3 months?
Trunk training is 3 90-day sections
3 90-day
Yes.
sections to become a trunk.
to become a trunk.
And then once you're a trunk, you're, what is the commitment as the
It's a great question. So where we were at before was kind of gray. We had 5 3-month sections, but we realized that a lot of those sections actually were their training itself, and that the intention for the core members is to give back for what they give, for what they get, and as they receive from this program, their skills are very valuable, and so we are asking a commitment of 5 3-month sections over a 7-year period, and they can be done at any nomadic community, not just here at Think More Pro. Right? So in the next 7 years after you finish your trunk status, you agree to holding 5 seasons in 7 years, which is like a lot of months, right?
15 months.
Yeah. 15 months in total out of whatever 7 times 12 is, 70 months, right?
That's after you've done your 3-month sections to become a
Yeah.
trunk.
Uh-huh.
Then as a trunk, the agreement is 5 3 months or 15 months of space in a nomadic community model. Giving it back.
In any nomadic community model. It could be in Nomadic, it could be in Arkansas, it could be in France.
totally detached from Picamorpho,
Yes.
or okay.
Yes.
So you're growing a tree and you're just putting it somewhere.
Yeah,
in
the
another
idea is like
forest.
once
we
we
have
get
companion plants, right?
yeah, once we
Yes,
get you
sir.
trained here, if we just let you go, like if that energy doesn't go to another system, then it kind of just goes back in the dirt. And that's why we really want people who want to support this regeneration, not like we went back to the community question. Not just people who are looking for family and just want to be around people. That's cool. If you're like that, come as the branch or the bud or the leaf. If you want to be part of our family is a family of space holders, of transformational space holders that are so vulnerable they're just doing it for themselves and they're sharing it with everybody else. And that's made the main distinguishing, like the definition. And in that, once you finish, you over the next 7 years, do one in Tinamasi, do one in Arkansas, do one all over. Organize your own. Just the idea is to keep the energy growing and going because now you're trained. Now you know how to train more people to hold these spaces of waffles all around the world to create more growth, to create more love, more transformation, and literally a pathway out of Babylon, right? A pathway to independence and to security. So the last program on here is the amendments. So if you were... Go ahead.
Before you move forward, can you speak more into the training, the 4 pillars? Like, what are these pillars?
All right, so
There's 13 pillars.
let's jump back a little bit. So in the farm itself, there are 13 pillars that hold the farm up. 5 of them are necessary to operate. Additional 4 are required for internal growth, and the additional 5 are required for external growth, right? And these pillars are some of the... So we'll put this on trunk training. This is part of trunk training. These are the actual skills you need to know to run a community, right? So this is like kitchen, hospitality, project management, infrastructure, social media, wellness, farming and accounting. These are practical skills. Which is, read them all.
Research and development, animals, space holding, and council.
Should we shift that board and write those up there?
Yeah, you want me to?
Does everyone have this down?
Everybody got this? Anybody need anything?
Or is this open source, right?
This is all
Yeah.
open source, and everything we're saying is in
We
a
shared,
180-page document you can find on the computer.
We have lots and lots of documents.
Where can we find these documents? Are they
So if you
online?
join our Discord, it's the easiest way, but also going to our website, on the section where it says more, you can click on that, and then there's a direct link to our document reference guide, which is our table of contents to all of the documents that we have in circulation.
We can then load them.
Yeah, for sure.
You can
Discord-
comment on them.
Discord would be the easiest. Join Discord, you can get all the documents there, and we're coming in the next 15 months to make an app. And on the app, all the training, all the locations, your wallet, and all the things will be there. So look for that coming soon. So when he gets to the thing, we'll go back to this training. So you'll get trained in the 13 pillars. That's one part. That's the part of actually how to make the farm work. But there's also permaculture itself, right, which is a bigger part than just the 13 pillars. Permaculture is the way to actually integrate your consciousness and your practices into sustainable living, which is a pretty great integration to what we do. We also have the emotional work, right, which involves things like nonviolent communication. And now as we're going forward, a whole list of more advanced emotional work is opening for our trunks to have supplemental training. Many of them with my brother Merlin here, Awaken Life Live, El Cielo, and things that are coming forward as ways for them to go to these other containers to really get the honing of what it's going to take for them to have emotional stability and confidence. A lot of the training itself is what I would call flow or experiential based. So when you come to the farm, you're guaranteed to have many reflections and many insights from the diversity. So you'll have a lot of flow experiences or experiences that'll bring you information that helps you grow physically, like in what you can do, but also a lot of emotional reflections that'll help you to grow emotionally. You get trained in the 13 pillars. The idea is that you're to become sovereign. And in a sovereign individual, they have consciousness almost about everything. And the idea is that you'll learn all 13 pillars, not in like perfection, but in competency. So that in any moment when you're on the farm, if you're the only member there, you can run the ship, right? You're a big enough trunk, you can hold it all up. You're like, nah, I don't know that thing. You have to be responsible, right? In the sense that you are able to respond and stay conscious about these things. NVC, what other trainings we got, Josh? Six step. I mean, I put that in the supplementals. But we could go into a lot of the supplementals. There's 6-step.
Restorative justice.
Yeah, we have that. Supplemental.
I would put restorative justice not as supplemental, but like up
Yeah.
NDC.
Got you. So, the way that we're making this work as well is we have this magical thing called the internet. And when you come as a core member, even right now, it's only with the core crew of like maybe 5-7 people. That's the crew that's holding the season for the whole year. So, a lot of the accessible training is each season happens just in the flow. But to supplement that, we have a digital training coming, and also, just available documentation and one-on-one time to get you the other additional skills that are coming through now, what we're calling the accreditation, which is going to be a list of skills like the village ABCs, right? And you're going to get a whole gamut of everything you need to know to run a community, to understand yourself, to hold space in difficult environments, to be a facilitator of such things. And like I said, it's a 5 to 7 year process, right? It's not short. This is life school, life college, life mastery right here. If you want to get a greater sense of the complete list of this trunk training, seek me out soon. It'll be on the website, actually posted relatively shortly. So this is what comprises trunk training through the gamut of your years, but it also comes with Discord. And Discord is our effort to keep these 5 people connected with the rest of our now 50 and growing to be hundreds of members in a digital support network. So that when you're going through this whole thing, now on your phone, all this training is available with supplemental support from people who went through it that can literally pick up their phone from wherever they're at, give you training, give you one-on-one, give you those little bits of information that really allow this to expand way more rapidly and way more globally. Alright, any more questions on that? We're coming close to towards the end. So, amendments then, right? I don't know, I can't commit to a core, I'm not so sure, that sounds like a lot of work. I don't know about all those emotions, that sounds difficult. Oh, okay, cool, perfect. Just become an amendment. I love what you're doing, I want to be here. Well, cool, pay us some money. It's super simple. We have several amendment packages that essentially we convert investments to infrastructure so that more people can be here. And that's what amendments can do. You can come in just like, hey, for 10 grand, we'll give you 30 days a month for 5 years. And then we'll use some of that 10 grand to actually make a cabin, right? So that you'll have actually a nice cabin.
30 days a year for 5 years.
5 years, sorry, thank you, not 10.
Well, no, I was saying 30 days a year
for 5 years.
Not just 30 days for 5 years.
Yeah, okay, thanks. 30 days a year for 5 years.
30 days a month. I was like, that's
30 days a month for 10 years. You can come here forever for $20,000.
10 grand, what you said, right?
Yeah.
And there's a list of other amendments as well, but they're just essentially ways for people to come in to gain access to the space at the 10-hour minimum, that's not there anymore, and still be accountable in the community, but also support the community as well. And then over time, if they really see all these people going through this awesome transformation in the core program, they might be more apt to stepping up to the responsibility it takes to go through the program. And this is really what I wanted to share with you guys today, is the core program, the different ways to come and support at these lower levels, and the amendments, and the fact that this is open source, and I want to get it everywhere, around the world.
Well, and also to expand on the ecosystem, we have pollinators, we have epiphytes, we have companion plants,
Pollinators.
Seed spreaders.
Yeah. So there's like multi-layered into this as well. And one thing we didn't actually touch on as well is the seeds of this whole thing. And the seeds is literally the knowledge that we're all passing upon each other and then spreading out and proliferating the world. So there's definitely more coming. The app that Tekin is talking about will be the actual mycelium of the ecosystem that's really connecting everything together. And Thinkamorpho is just a tree, right? And inside this are companion plants, and inside a jungle there's 7 layers to that jungle. We have 7 different layers of what really defines companion plants and different like levels of like communities of like hundreds of people down to like communities that are only like 10 people to being like the different layers of a forest. You have tall trees, you have small trees, you have vines, you have root structures or rhizomes. So really getting in understanding that we have, like Merlin has a house. He's easy to be a hub for being a shrub or some, I forget what it is exactly, on companion plants.
A whole ecosystem.
And then also like the nomadic community is literally the earth is what it's all growing on top of. So we're trying to connect everything together. And Thinkamorpho's literally a tree breaking away from being what it's always been of being Thinkamorpho-based hierarchy, but now it's literally being an ecosystem connecting it all together.
Mycelium network.
Well, the mycelium is the app that is being created.
The software keeps us connected. Yeah, Josh is really into the download, if you haven't noticed.
There's whole theory on actual like this ecosystem and what and each function of each one of these and how it relates in nature and how it relates to the community life as well.
Questions, questions, questions. We must have many.
I have a couple.
Oh, you got some
I had a
questions?
couple already.
Yeah, come
like,
on.
I'm,
Oh, you want some more?
whatever I needed to know.
Well, I got a question. Are we doing this? We're gonna make the world a better place?
Yes!
Oh, yeah, perfect. We're
We're
in.
doing it.
In essence, that's the gist. That's the basic download of how we use nature to create an open source system, where the different layers go for different people who are involved with it, and how all the people can be involved in a space of waffles, water, food, love, and shelter. That is, from our opinion, the best way to create personal growth, transformation, and a regenerative world. For the reasons that we talked about earlier, finding out what love is, what we are, and what life is about. Because wouldn't we like, if we find out that when we find out that our bodies are supercomputer, awesome, amazing superpowers, and they're like unlimited almost, then a lot of our assumptions about like even machinery drops out, right? Like the foundation of our world is based on assumptions about what we are and what we're limited to. If our limits change, all the foundation of our worldviews change. What are we capable of as people, right? What is our potential? What is the potential of the human body, right? And if you're not so sure, like check into it. And really look. Like there's a show called Stan Lee's Superhumans. Who's seen it? Yeah, a couple people. And it's, the creator of the comic books, right? Well, he took some of his money and he's like, well, let's make a show where we find people who can do unusual things and actually bring some, like, scientists to the people to try to see, like, what we can find out about them. And they had several episodes that were really interesting. He had one with a blind guy who, just to make sure he was blind, also wore a mask in a pitch dark room, and he could determine the location, size, and color of objects. He could see without eyes, without vision. And they also went to this other school and showed the school that they were doing it as well. And there was just a list of really awesome examples he had showing the potential of the human body and the human experience.
Can I explain how it works?
Go for it.
So basically, he can't see, right? He
Yeah.
doesn't have vision. So there's something in the brain, it's called neuroplasticity, and it's the ability of the brain to readapt and create new neural pathways. And so, for someone that doesn't have vision, the visual cortex is at the back of your head, and that takes up the most. It's the cortex that takes up the most space in the whole brain. And so what happens is that because you don't have input from the outside world, all those neurons are not being used and they're taking up space. And so the brain reorganizes itself, and for example, neurons that usually are in the auditory cortex will go and take this space in the visual cortex. And so now you can have kind of mixed senses where you can, basically what he's doing is he's seeing with audition. Or some people, they can see with touch in their tongue, because there's something called echoing, for example, where they train themselves like bats to do a clicking sound in their mouth, which is like an echo, and then they're able to see with that echo because of how the brain reorganizes itself for efficiency. The brain organizes itself for efficiency.
I'm gonna drop one deeper on you. He didn't make any sounds. He could also determine color of the object, and they concluded that he had to be using his third eye to do that.
Yes, and that's when more intuitive powers come in.
Yeah.
Kids can be trained to see in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
One of my teachers teaches them.
Yeah.
In Ireland.
There we go. And I saw there's another school. He has a bunch of young blind children, and he teaches them the same thing, even to play video games. And they're blind kids.
Wow.
So seeing this information and realizing what our potential was well, how do we get there, right? Well, a space that has space, an actual energy of availability, because this whole world says, do this, do this, do this, conform, break, conform, listen, listen, listen. How the hell are you gonna ever open your third eye, right? How are you gonna even make it where you get strong enough to use it to see in the dark? We gotta have space, right? And that's what Waffles is all about.
Being in the office, eyes closed, doing.
What
I'm trying to focus my third eye, man.
What are you doing, man?
You're wasting my time.
What are you doing? So check out the book coming soon, Why Nomadic